about exoticism. I feel like it's a really great way to wrap up our sessions around race and culture. I feel like this is one of those forms of racism that happens within the beauty institution, beauty construct, that we don't talk about as often as we really, really should, and the ways that it manifests itself. Some examples of this is assuming that any race is a particular way and then being like, ooh, I'm attracted to them because they're like this, is a form of exoticism. So Latina women are more spicy, is words people use sometimes, or like have an attitude that's cute, or the idea that Asian women are submissive all the time and that they are docile, or the idea that all black men have big dicks. Like, any of these things are all forms of exoticism. Why it's dangerous is because the ways that people are then treated, the ways in which the assumptions that are made about people, the ways that certain people are courted in particular ways, the ways that people, everyday people, are not able to even live, the ways that everyday people are not able to live up to these expectations that are placed for them, that are actually just not true, that are not realistic, that are not accurate, and don't give people an opportunity to be themselves. Example of like how this can sometimes play out and be really shitty, I feel like, was that episode of Insecure. I don't know if any of y'all watch Insecure. I hope that you do. When Lawrence goes home with these two women that he meets in the grocery store or liquor store, wherever he was, and they're literally having sex with him because of their assumptions about what it's like to have sex with a black man. And then once he doesn't live up to that expectation, they literally disregard him. Like, literally are like, okay, well, we're going to go get food now. And I feel like in that scene, they in some ways are kind of like making light of it and like making it so ridiculous that you're like, what? But I also feel like, based on things that I have experienced, seen, and had other people talk to me about, it's a real thing. I know that way back in the day, not that way back because I'm not that old, but whatever, y'all get my point. I've had that experience happen to me where someone was like, you're Jamaican, so because you're Jamaican, I expect that you'd be a certain way. And I feel like this was a false advertisement, so to speak. And they thought that having sex with me would be a particular type of experience, pretty much like a dancehall video is what they thought was going to happen. And I was like, and what they were upset about was that I didn't want to have sex with them to start with, and I didn't have sex with them. So I feel like those are some of the ways that these things really impact us and become dangerous for us. Because for me, I felt like I was put in a really dangerous predicament where this person had an expectation that I would have intimacy with them, that I would have sex with them, that I would share myself with them in a particular way, because they thought that because of my culture, because of my race, my ethnicity, that's what came along with it. And I feel like I'm probably one of many people who have been put in a situation where, based on what people's storylines were about them and how they exotified them, they were being asked to do unreasonable things. Unsafe. It becomes unsafe because I think people take away humanity when they're doing that. They take away the very human parts of us, and when people start taking away her humanity, it gives them the in clause to think that, okay, well, because I think this about that person, I can do these things that become violent. I think sometimes the violence is sexually violent. Like, I feel like it just leaves so much space for not actually seeing a person, for someone to think, well, I can do whatever I want to this person because I'm only here for this storyline, this idea that I have about what it would like to be with this person. And for me, how I have dealt with that in my own life is to really have conversations with people. I like, after that incident happened, I started having upfront conversations with people really early on when I started dating them, and being like, just trying to feel out where they're at in that, and just protecting my own energy. Because I feel like when I start seeing that someone, because I've had it happen many a times where people are like, I want to speak to you in patois, or I've had people say, like, I want you to speak patois to me when we like have sex. That's like strange and weird to me, to be honest, but it's happened. And I think protecting my own energy means really getting a sense of what people's intentions are very early on in my interactions with them, so that I'm not ending up in a situation where someone is trying to court me, date me, have sex with me, whatever, based on their very limited perspectives of what someone like me is like. And I think that exoticism looks different for different people depending on like what your race, your culture, whatever is. I think that's speaking very specifically from a Caribbean context, but I think, because it's the context I know best, of course, but I think that even in a sense of like, I just thought of this right now, but I'm thinking about like the whole thing with Rihanna and Chris Brown, which I know that people are like, oh, well, this is a form of like misogyny or misogynoir. But I think that exoticism is there because I remember when people would say that Rihanna is like, I remember people would say because Rihanna is Caribbean, that she must have been more aggressive, and that Caribbean women are aggressive. And I feel like those storylines play into violence, like what happens between Rihanna and Chris Brown, where there's this idea that there are certain types of women that need to be tamed, and because those women need to be tamed, it's okay to be violent towards those women. I think that that's where it really starts to become an issue and really becomes dangerous, because there's no other word I could really use to describe it. I'm curious from y'all, how do you deal with that? What do you do to heal around that? What do you do to protect yourself around that? What are some experiences that you might have had with exoticism, and what has it shown up and look like within your own life? Comment below, and I look forward to talking to you next week. Peace. Stay beautiful. And I feel like, what do I want to say? My brain is blank. I'm tired. Exoticism sucks. Okay. Take two. And I feel like part of why it's okay. A really good